Hi, I think I'm live. So thank you everyone who's joining me. My name is Grace Bassack, and today I will be talking to you about my artistic journey, my goddess project, my paintings, and the magical process surrounding it. So thank you for joining me today. It's really exciting to be here and be part of this festival with all you amazing, incredible women here. Um, so I'll tell you a little bit about my background and how I ended up doing what I'm doing. And then we'll have a little art show at the end. You can already see I've got two of my paintings here. I've been careful and I've like covered this one up because I know that Facebook can sometimes not be okay with nudity. So yeah, she's being very modest today. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I see people. Oh, hello, Paulina. Hello, Juliet. Thank you for joining. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So my background was in art and psychology, and I worked in both of these industries for a couple of years. Um, but I didn't feel like one, I wasn't helping people how I wanted to, and two, in the creative industries, I didn't feel like I could be myself, like I could be creative. Um, and I was kind of stuck in this rut of not knowing what to do and doing what I thought other people would make other people proud, as we're often taught to do. And then about 2.5 years ago, I lost someone that I really loved, and it was incredibly difficult time. I think anyone who's experienced grief knows how difficult this can be. And with my grief, I ended up actually painting a portrait of this wonderful woman who I'd lost, and it was a way of showing my love to her, putting my grief into creativity, and it was also a way of of like of giving something to her, um, like a I don't know what the right word is, but like a kind of a token of love to her. Um, that really kind of reminded me of how much I love painting and really brought me back into my creativity, which I kind of had left for a little while. And then after this grief, this took me on a journey where I worked with an incredible life coach called Amanda Bickham. And with her, I did a lot of self work. I did some women's groups, like goddess groups. Um, and it was a really incredible journey where I was questioning the way I'd been living my life, my negative beliefs, and really delving into what was important to me in this life. I think death can really make you rethink your life and what you want to give. Um, and so this was a really amazing experience. And not only that, but I was working with all these incredible women from all over the world, um, who were also on this spiritual path of finding what they love and finding what they want to do. And we worked with, I started being reintroduced to this idea of the goddess and deities. And and we worked with Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, and it really reminded me of what I used to love when I was younger. I used to love myths and goddesses, and I used to paint women and angels, and it's so funny because I kind of that I got drawn away from that as I got older, as I think so many of us do. We get drawn away from our innate being. And it's so funny, I feel like I've been kind of drawn back to that on my journey, so that's really exciting. And when when I was working with Amanda and these other amazing women, I we started delving into what we call the divine feminine. And there's two energies: there's the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And the feminine energy is the ability to create. It's our intuition, it's our sense of community, our sensuality. And while the masculine is more maybe how we've been brought up to be in society. It's the be productive, we must achieve, we must do. Yeah, so we really started working with these energies, and I always, when I first heard these terms, I thought, oh, I'm such a feminine person, and it wasn't until I started learning I realized actually how in my masculine I'd lived my whole life. I was all about doing, about being productive, about it being a certain way, about control, and the masculine is all about being in your head, while the feminine is all about being in your heart, in your body, following yourself and what you love. And I think it's, yeah, so many of us get drawn away from that. And this is why I think groups like this and this women collective is so incredible, because it's bringing all of us back to our, what I believe is our innate selves. And it's through these energies that I started creating again in a way that I hadn't done since I was a child. It was through this exploring this divine feminine energy, and how I can surrender and listen to my heart and listen to my body and what do I need and what's right for me and what's rotten, what's not right for me, and coming back to that. And in that space, that's where I found my creativity again. And this oh, wrong way around, sorry, it's back to front. This painting here was the first kind of painting I'd done where I started trying to just be free and drop into that creative space again, instead of it being like, right, no, I need to measure and it needs to be perfect. Because in the creative industry I'd worked, things had to be by the millimeter. It was a very masculine, controlled way of working. And this was obviously a start. I think I freed up a lot since then. It's a practice, it's something I keep working at. But yeah, I feel like this was one of my first piece that really kind of opened that creative doorway to me and made me feel excited about doing things like this again. And from that, birthed what I call the Goddess Project. And the Goddess Project was inspired through not only the work I was doing on myself, like trying to rediscover who I was and what I loved and how I want to live my life, but also the incredible women I meet. These women from all over the world who are just so amazing, just have so much to offer, so many gifts for the world, and are just so inspirational. They have so much wisdom. And it was from meeting these women and doing this kind of, I suppose, spiritual work on myself was how I started doing the Goddess Project. And oh, it's so exciting. And the Goddess Project is basically how, when I want to help depict women in all their beauty and in their essence, in their divine feminine way, however they want to be depicted. Yeah, so that's kind of what the Goddess Project is. I work with women to create a piece for them, that is their own divine feminine depiction, that they can celebrate themselves and share themselves with the world and celebrate who they want to be. So that is, yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on. And you've probably seen a couple of my paintings that I've been so blessed to have been able to share in this group with you all. And what I love is working with different goddess energies and different deities has been a massive part of that journey for me. For example, I think a lot of people, when they think of the goddess, they think of like Venus in the, is it Venus? Yeah, Venus in the shell. It's quite a stereotypical image that a lot of people think when they think of the word goddess. But what I love is when you look at all these deities and goddesses throughout the whole world, they're depicted in so many different ways. And I think it's a celebration of women in all that we are, not just being one thing, not just being who we've thought we have to be, who we've been conditioned to be. Yeah, for example, as I mentioned, Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance. You've got Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Who else have we got? God, there's so many. We've also got the dark divine feminine, and for example, we've got who have we got? We've got Kali, the goddess of, she's got this strong motherly love, but she's also the goddess of death and anger and destruction. And then we've got Lilith, who has had quite a controversial history. She was the first wife of Adam, and she wouldn't basically do what he wanted, and so got banished and demonized by Adam and by God. And I think it's so wonderful what we're doing now. Is I feel like we're taking our feminine power back, um, and rediscovering ourselves. And there's this massive movement all over the world. Um, yeah, and if I mention, like, when I talk about masculine and feminine as well, men and any gender has masculine and feminine energies. So yeah, men have feminine energies as well. We all do, and it's just how we work and balance them. So yeah, coming back to the goddesses and deities. So that's what I love, is I've been taking inspiration from ones in our history and past, and trying, and my hope is to try and to keep pushing the boundaries of my art and how I depict women, and showing them in all their states, like whether they're dark divine, whether they're however they want to be shown. If they want to be shown in their anger, in their full anger, I'm going to be working with someone soon, creating her as Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess of anger. So yeah, it's however that woman wants to be shown, which is really exciting. And I'll show you, I've got a painting. Oh, I thought I had a painting to show you quickly. So yeah, this was one for the goddess project I did, of a commission from a lovely woman to another lovely woman, two very special people. And this was, you can watch the video of how it kind of came to life. I'll put my link somewhere. But yeah, this painting was done, and how she wanted to be shown in her goddess form, and like this waterfall was incredibly special to her. So it's about making and creating something personal for the individual, and working closely to know and connect with them and understand them, when I paint them. Yeah, so so on a practical note, like, I've taught myself a lot of the materials. Sorry, camera. So on a practical note, I've taught myself about a lot of the materials, the best quality to use, the processes, and yeah, so and yeah, it's really exciting. And I've been using like a lot of gold leaf as well. So here's like another one where I've used, look at that. This one is called Pandora's Hope. Yeah, and I don't know if you know the story of Pandora, but she opened a box and all these horrors of the world came out. And it's another thing in history of women being demonized, of starting all this chaos. So I recreated it, feeling like she opened the box and it was all this hope that came out, like, as in a way to celebrate women. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. So yeah, and when I work, I try and get to be able to create. And I think when anyone wants to create anything, it's really important to get into this creative zone, and flow. Like when I'm painting, I really want to be able to channel this divine feminine, like really tune into my feminine essence. Yeah, and when I do that, it feels like it's more able to flow. Like as soon as I try and paint something, as soon as I'm like beating myself up or I'm not in a good place, like I almost just say, just stop. There's no point. You really want to be able to get into that feminine space, however that looks for you. And when I paint, when I'm in that space, it almost feels like I'm just like channeling what needs to come through. It's almost like the more I can let go, the less effort these things feel like to create. They just almost happen of their own accord. So it's a practice, like anything, like yoga. It's a practice. You've got to keep, it's not always perfect, and you're always kind of challenging yourself, but it's really, when it flows, it's really magical. And this piece here, other way, this piece here, I was really in that state. I was just so in the flow, and it's one very close to my heart. Yeah, so the tools that I use to really get into this space could be anything from meditating, being in nature, like having baths. And sometimes it's in these situations, like when I'm having a bath, I like have this like, oh, I've had a brilliant idea. And it's always when we're in these spaces that sometimes like the inspiration comes. And yeah, and dancing for me is a really big one, and it's going to look different for everyone. Everyone's going to have a different way of getting into their feminine space and being in this flow and surrender and being able to create. And we're all creative beings, you know, everyone has, you know, creates in some way, whether it's a business, whether it's a project, whether it's a poem, whether it's writing, whether it's art. We are made to create. We've got all these wonderful gifts to share. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when you're feeling so good, when you're feeling connected to everything, like things just flow, and sometimes those creative inspirations really come to you in those spaces. So yeah, it's really about coming back to your body, getting away from your mind, and listening to your heart, and that's where all this creativity will flow. And that's what I found really helpful on my journey. Yeah, and it's important, of course, like it's a balance, isn't it? It's a balance between the masculine and the feminine, you know. Like when I'm painting, I want to be in my feminine, yet when I'm kind of got a deadline, or when I've been teaching myself the processes, that's when I might need my masculine to chime in and be like, oh, you know, gotta kind of keep this within a boundary, or you know, you've got to be productive. And so yeah, it's about this balance of working with these two energies, and this goes for any aspect in your life, whatever it is you're doing. I think when we find balance within the masculine and feminine, you know, you're probably gonna not burn out and be able to produce much more amazingly. So yeah, it's really about coming back to your body, come back to your heart, whatever that means for you. And so many wonderful women in this group have been doing practices to help with that. And treating your body like a divine temple. I love a quote in The Artist's Way that says, treat your body like a precious object. And that kind of rang true for me, because sometimes I treat other people better than I treat myself. I treat objects better than I treat myself. And it's about being like, no, we are precious, and we've got to love ourselves first and foremost, and then the love will spread. Yeah, so The Artist's Way is an amazing tool. It's a spiritual creative guide for, I mean, it's directed at artists. It was written 25 years ago, but it's still like so relevant. But it's, I think anyone it like could benefit from it. It's amazing, and it's just beautifully written, and it just brings in those creative and spiritual elements that will help in every area of your life. So I found that incredibly helpful, so I can highly recommend that. Yeah, so I'll show you a bit more to my paintings. I think we're doing okay for time. Oh, I've seen loads of comments. I will read and answer them later. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah, so God, I won't show you too much because I'll get excited, and I think the technical stuff can sometimes be a bit boring. But so usually when I start, I might have an idea, or I might have an inspiration. It might, you know, happen in the bath, or I might be reading something and be like, oh, I really like that. Or yeah, so these two are drawings. So once I have an idea, I usually sketch out my design. You might recognize these from the paintings that have been posted in the group. So I usually start with a pencil design, and that really helps me just like come up with the design without worrying too much, because sometimes when you're painting it's almost longer to come up with a design while you're painting. So it's just like technically it works really well, and I can really get into my feminine flow when I'm sketching as well. And then Yeah, and then it's the whole process of painting, which I won't go too much into, but if you guys have any question, like if you're interested in painting yourselves and have any technical questions, then I'd be really happy to answer any questions. So yeah, these two here, you might recognize. Oh God, it's really hard to do it on the screen. Um, there we go. Yeah, these two here. So these are paintings that you might recognize, and yeah, I call it my heart work. It is literally my heart work. I'm pouring my heart and soul into these, and they feel very precious. And yeah, and it's really exciting through the Goddess Project to be able to share that with other people. Um, and oh yeah, I'll just show you this one quickly. Here we go. And this one's Lakshmi, Goddess of Abundance. Oh no, this way. There we go. Yeah, so it's a really exciting process. And here's Lilith, the dark feminine. Here's a sneak peek because I haven't actually posted this one yet. Yeah, and then more recently I worked on this one, and this is Bridget, the Celtic and Gaelic goddess of Imbolc, and Imbolc is a pagan celebration which was on the 1st and 2nd of February. So it was kind of that celebration that inspired me to make this piece. And as you can see, she's got some like lovely gold leaf. And it's just an underpainting. So this is usually how I'll work. I'll just sketch, I'll do the gold leaf and underpainting just to like get the I suppose, what's the word, composition, and then I will go over with layers of paint, and it's a long process, but it's worth it because it's just so much more effective, and you build up all these beautiful layers of paint and it can grow. Yeah, so there's my paintings, and I'll let you in on a little exciting thing that I'm hoping to do in the future is do like a goddess oracle deck with all my paintings. But yeah, we're talking a couple of years because they take a long time. So yeah, thank you for joining. So basically, in summary, like what I do is I I paint, and I try and show women in their most divine way, however they want to be shown, however they want to celebrate themselves. Um, and it's a real labor of love. So yeah, that is what I do, and I'm really blessed to be able to share this with you, um, all these amazing women. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. I think I'm nearly done. Not really else to say. So yeah, if you have any questions, please contact me. I'd be happy to chat about any of this, and answer more questions. I think I've put my link in, but I will double check that I've sent it. And you've got my Facebook and my Instagram, where you can follow me. And I'd really, really love your support as I go on my art journey, and my website as well. And I'm in the makes is a patron page where I'm hoping to do like more in-depth tutorials of the whole painting process, and potentially like more goddessy tools of how we can connect with our divine feminine. So yeah, watch this space. It's really exciting. Um, and yeah, it's been wonderful to be part of this. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And yeah, let me just see any questions. Oh, Agnieszka would like to know about the gold leaf. Yeah, so the gold leaf is a wonderful, oh God, I could use gold leaf on everything, but it's actually quite a technical process. So I had to be very, very in my masculine to learn about how to do this gold leaf, because it's very much like you have to put a layer of like adhesive down, like wait overnight, or wait a couple of hours, sorry, then gold leaf, then wait overnight, then brush it off, then like leave it for a bit and then kind of buff it, and then you have to layer something else over it and wait a couple of days for that to dry before you can paint on top. So it's a real labor of love. But it like I love using gold leaf. I think it adds something magical. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do with gold leaf. And also there's the option, I'm doing a commission soon with silver leaf as well. yeah, so I haven't used silver leaf yet, so that's very exciting. And you can also use like, they have different carats of gold leaf as well. You can actually get like 25 carat gold leaf um, as well. So yeah, it's really exciting. Oh, I've lost the questions. Thank you for that question, Agnieszka. Um, oh, thank you, Sherry. I'm really glad that it spoke to you. Um, thank you, Juliet, for your question. How long does it take me to create a goddess piece? This is really changeable because it depends what people want. Like obviously these two here, I mean this one here is obviously a little less complicated than a lot of the ones I do, but it's bigger, so that can also take longer if the paintings are bigger. These ones that sorry, like this one was probably my longest one. Yeah, this one was probably my longest piece, and like it was kind of spread out over 3 months. If it's less complicated than this, with less layers, then I could probably do it in a month. But yeah, it changes depending on the painting and depending on what the person wants. Um, yeah, so I'm just reading your questions. Mm, yeah, it's yeah, thank you. Get Sherry getting out of my feminine when I really, really want to stay in my feminine. Yeah. And it's always a reminder, like it's so easy to come out of that feminine space. And that's why these tools are really, really good. All these goddess tools are really good at getting into that feminine space and finding what's right for you, finding how you can get back in there. Because when we feel low and bleh, like yeah, we need to feel it and go with it, and that's also part of the feminine is surrendering to our emotions and our feelings. Um, yeah, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to stop now. But thank you. This has been really fun and so lovely to connect with you all. Again, my link is in there if you want to reach out, and I hope I can connect with you all more afterwards. Have a wonderful day and lots of love. Bye, everyone. Bye.